The quiet thieves of joy. He looked in the mirror one morning and whispered, "Is this it? Is this really how the rest of my life is going to feel?" It wasn't about wrinkles or gray hair. It was about the silence in the room, the weight in his chest, the sense that somehow life had grown smaller. Credibility. Setup. I'm Dr. Thomas Reeve. For over 40 years, I sat across from men like you, who carried themselves with quiet dignity, but were battling something they couldn't quite name. They weren't sick, but they weren't alive either. And what I've learned is this: the decline we fear most doesn't begin with disease. It begins with tiny habits, silent decisions, things we stop doing. Or worse, things we keep doing, thinking they don't matter, but they do. Defined internal pain point. So many men over 65 feel something fading. Not just muscle or memory, but identity. You give more than you take. You stay quiet when your soul wants to shout. You downplay your needs to keep the peace. You say you're fine even when you're not. That's not aging. That's erasure. But here's the thing. You don't need to overhaul your life. You just need to stop doing a few things that are quietly stealing your power. Promise of insight. In the next few minutes, we're going to uncover the 7 most dangerous habits that are robbing older men of vitality, purpose, and connection. Habits that, when stopped, can add years to your life, and life to your years. We start with one of the most common and most costly. 1. Stop accepting everything without questioning it. It begins innocently. You nod when you disagree. You stay silent when something feels wrong. You tell yourself it's not worth the argument. But here's what happens over time. Your voice, the essence of your identity, goes quiet. I remember a patient, Harold, 71 years old. He once told me, "I just want peace, so I don't speak up anymore." But what Harold didn't realize was this: peace built on silence isn't peace. It's slow surrender. Every time you agree just to keep things calm, you chip away at who you are. And one day, you wake up not knowing what you believe anymore. Simple science plus psychology. Psychologically, suppressing your own beliefs triggers a stress response in the brain. Your cortisol rises, your sleep quality drops, your self-respect erodes. The brain knows when you're lying to yourself. Emotional truth. You've lived through wars, real or emotional. You've held families together. You've built, protected, and endured. Your voice is not just valid, it's valuable. It carries the weight of experience, of survival, of wisdom. When you silence it, the world misses something irreplaceable: you. If this resonates, type 1 in the comments. If you've felt this, staying quiet to keep others comfortable, I want to hear your story. Retention. Reset. Let's shift for a moment. Because the next habit, it's one that pretends to protect you. But in reality, it slowly erases the very reason you wake up each morning, and most men don't even realize it's happening until it's already taken hold. The silent killer. Isolation. It starts with a few missed calls. Then you stop going to the weekly breakfasts, and one day, you realize the phone isn't ringing at all. But you tell yourself it's fine. You like the quiet. You're just tired. You've earned your peace. But what if I told you? The quiet isn't peace. It's a slow and silent killer. And its name is isolation. Credibility. Setup. Over the years, I've watched proud, capable men, veterans, former CEOs, grandfathers, craftsmen, slip into a kind of loneliness they could never admit out loud. They didn't want pity. They didn't want attention. But what they needed was connection. And most of them didn't realize what was happening until it was too late. Defined internal pain point. You see, we're told that aging means slowing down, resting more, keeping to yourself, and so we obey. We say no to gatherings. We stop reaching out. We let friendships drift. We tell ourselves the world is too fast, too different now. But what's really happening? We're pulling away not because we're content, but because we're protecting ourselves from rejection, from effort, from the fear that maybe no one will notice if we disappear. And that fear? That's what eats at you in the late hours of the night. Promise of relief. But here's the truth most men forget. The cure for isolation isn't massive. You don't need a crowd, you just need a spark, a voice, a cup of coffee. A "how have you been?" And that one small act can begin to bring life back into your bones. 2. Stop choosing isolation over connection. Let me tell you about Ray. Ray was 76 when he came to see me. He had no major illnesses, no physical complaints, but his eyes were tired in a way I've learned to recognize. I asked him, "When was the last time you had a good laugh with someone?" He stared at the floor for a long time, then whispered, "I don't remember." That broke me. Ray had let life grow too quiet, and that quiet was suffocating him from the inside out. Simple science plus psychology. Loneliness isn't just emotional, it's biological. Studies show that chronic isolation increases the risk of heart disease, stroke, cognitive decline, depression, and even early death. Why? Because connection is as vital to survival as food or water. When we engage with others, our brains release oxytocin, the bonding hormone. It lowers blood pressure, reduces inflammation, and strengthens immunity. Social connection, literally, helps you live longer and better. Emotional truth. You don't need dozens of friends. You need real ones. The kind who remember your stories, who sit with you in silence when words aren't enough, who remind you that you still matter because you do. And if those people aren't around anymore, it's not too late to find new ones. Volunteer. Call an old friend. Join a group, even online. Because every connection is a chance to come alive again. You are not forgotten. You are not finished, and someone out there needs the wisdom only you can offer. Still watching? Type "with you, Doc" in the comments. Let's walk this path together, because we're not meant to walk it alone. Retention. Reset. Let's pause for a moment, because what I'm about to say next is something most older men refuse to believe. And yet, it might be the biggest lie keeping you from feeling truly alive again. It's the belief that you're too old to heal your body. But the truth? Your body is waiting for you to come back home to it. It's not too late to come home to your body. He sat across from me, eyes cast downward, and said quietly, "I used to be strong. Now, I can barely get off the couch without groaning." Then he shrugged, trying to laugh it off. I guess this is just what happens after 70. But here's what I told him. No, this is not just aging. This is surrender, and it's not too late to take your strength back. Credibility. Setup. I'm Dr. Thomas Reeve, and I've worked with thousands of men in their later years. Men who've fought wars, built homes, run businesses, raised families. Men who used to believe that once the body started giving out, the best thing they could do was just manage the decline. But the truth? The body, your body, is more forgiving than you think. It's waiting for you to start treating it like it still matters, because it does. Defined internal pain point. Somewhere along the way, many older men begin to believe a dangerous lie. It's too late for me to get healthy. You might say, I missed my window. The damage is already done. Why bother now? But that mindset? It's not just false. It's deadly, because the moment you stop caring for your body, you stop telling yourself you're worth the effort. Promise of relief. But here's the good news, something I've witnessed firsthand. Even small efforts, gentle walks, light stretching, small dietary changes can create massive shifts in how you feel physically, emotionally, and mentally. You may not feel 25 again, but you can feel strong, clear-headed, independent, and full of life again. 3. Stop believing it's too late to care for your body. I want to tell you about Miguel. At 78, he hadn't exercised in 30 years. He walked slowly. His hands trembled when he held his coffee cup. But he was stubborn. He still drove, still lived alone, still did everything himself. Then he fell one night in the bathroom and broke his hip. That was his wake-up call. He told me, "Doc, I thought I had more time." But we worked together, slowly, intentionally. Short walks, resistance bands, chair yoga. He changed his diet, fewer processed foods, more greens, more water. 6 months later, Miguel walked into my office without a cane. He had tears in his eyes. I didn't think I'd ever feel like a man again, but he did. Not because he reversed time, but because he reclaimed his dignity. Simple science, plus psychology. You don't need to run marathons, you need consistency. The aging body still responds to movement. When you move, you increase blood flow to the brain, boost endorphins, and improve balance, protecting yourself from falls and memory loss. The body adapts even in your 70s, 80s, and 90s. And every healthy choice sends a message to your brain: I am still worth taking care of. Emotional truth. Caring for your body is an act of self-respect. It says, I still matter. My life still has value. When you eat better, sleep deeper, and move more, you don't just survive. You wake up, you start to feel strong again. Not in the way of youth, but in the way of wisdom, stable, centered, rooted in self-trust. So no, it's not too late. It's never too late to come back home to your body. If you've ever told yourself it's too late to change, type "still fighting" in the comments, because every step forward, no matter how small, is a step toward life. Retention. Reset. Let's pivot now. Because the next habit is one of the most deceptive. It looks like love. It feels like duty. But in truth, it's quietly destroying your sense of self. You've spent a lifetime giving. Now it's time to receive. He sat quietly at the kitchen table. His wife passed years ago. His children were grown and busy. The house was clean, bills paid, fridge stocked, but something was missing. He had spent his whole life showing up for everyone else, but no one had shown up for him in a long, long time. And he didn't know how to ask anymore. Credibility set up. I've seen this too often. Men who gave their strength, their time, their loyalty, and now, in the final chapters of life, they're left wondering, when do I get to matter again? This is one of the most unspoken truths of aging, that the man who carried everyone through their storms is now drowning in silence, unsure if anyone even sees him anymore. Defined internal pain point. As men, we're conditioned to protect, to provide, to keep going. Even when we're breaking, so we give, we show up. We say yes when we're tired. We hide the pain behind a smile, and over time, it becomes automatic. It becomes your identity. You become the dependable one, the strong one, the one who never complains. But here's the danger. When your life becomes all about others, you slowly disappear from your own story. Promise of relief. But what if I told you it's not selfish to put yourself first? What if I told you, boldly, that your joy matters just as much as anyone else's? Because it does. You've earned the right to feel whole, not just helpful. 4. Stop sacrificing your well-being for everyone else. Let me introduce you to Clarence. He was 74 when he finally said it out loud. Doc, I don't even know what makes me happy anymore. He had raised 3 kids, cared for a sick wife until the end, and never once put himself on the list. Vacations? For the kids? Hobbies? Abandoned? Health? Ignored. He said, I thought I was doing the right thing. And yes, he was being noble, but also, he was disappearing. So I asked him one question. What would it look like if you lived one day a week just for you? At first, he didn't know. But week by week, Clarence started carving out space. He took long walks. He painted again. For the first time since college, he started saying no without guilt. He even took a weekend trip, alone. And one day, he said something I'll never forget. I didn't know I could still feel this alive. Simple science. To psychology, chronic self-sacrifice leads to emotional burnout. When you constantly override your own needs, your brain enters survival mode, leading to irritability, anxiety, sleep problems, depression. You don't need to stop loving others, but you do need to include yourself in that circle of care. Self-care isn't luxury, it's fuel. Emotional truth. You don't have to earn your rest, you've given enough, now you get to receive. That might mean saying no without explanation. Spending money on yourself. Taking a nap, turning off your phone. And yes, choosing joy without guilt, because when you nourish your spirit, you don't just heal yourself. You show others, especially your children and grandchildren, that aging can be a beginning, not a slow fade. If you're ready to reclaim space in your own life, type I matter in the comments. Let's remind each other that fulfillment isn't selfish, it's sacred. Retention. Reset. Now, before we close this journey, there's one more habit we need to face. It's the one most men feel too embarrassed to talk about. It's surrounded by shame, silence, and false beliefs. But if you can let it go, you'll rediscover something powerful, something deeply human. You are still worthy of love, touch, and desire. He reached for her hand across the couch, but stopped. Not because he didn't want to, but because something inside whispered, "She probably doesn't see me like that anymore." He looked down at his hands, worn by years of work and time, and quietly pulled them back into his lap. What he didn't realize was that she had been waiting for him to reach. Credibility set up. If I could tell every man over 65 one truth that would change their lives, it's this. Sexuality doesn't die with age. Shame does. I'm Dr. Thomas Reeve, and after 40 years in geriatric care, I've seen this over and over again. Men who believe their days of touch, connection, and intimacy are behind them. They're not. And believing otherwise isn't just wrong, it's tragic. Defined internal pain point. Let's be honest, our culture does a terrible job of honoring mature intimacy. They act like romance is for the young. That touch becomes unnecessary. After a certain age, that sexual desire in all its forms quietly fades away with the calendar. But here's the truth most men carry and rarely speak aloud. I still want to be touched. I still want to feel close. But I don't know how to say it anymore. And over time, that silence becomes a kind of mourning, a quiet grief for something you're still allowed to want, but we're told you should no longer expect. Promise of relief, but that need for intimacy, it never expires. It changes, yes, becomes softer, slower, more about connection than performance, but it never stops being a source of healing, vitality, and love. And reclaiming it can restore a part of yourself you thought was gone forever. 5. Stop believing you're too old for intimacy. Let me tell you about Frank and Mary. Married 43 years. After Mary went through health challenges, their physical relationship faded, and Frank assumed that was the end of that chapter. He focused on caregiving, He stopped reaching for her hand at night. He stopped complimenting her, stopped even wondering if touch was still welcome. But then one day, Mary said, "I miss how we used to sit close. You used to pull me in, remember?" Frank told me he hadn't cried in 20 years. But that moment broke something open in him. They didn't need fireworks or youth. They needed presence, permission. They started small, cuddling on the couch, a shared bath, long, quiet embraces. And do you know what Frank told me? I didn't know intimacy could feel even better after everything we've been through. Simple science. Plus, psychology. Sexual connection, even in non-intercourse forms, activates powerful chemicals in the brain. Oxytocin, bonding, trust. Endorphins, pain relief, joy, dopamine, pleasure, motivation. Regular physical affection is proven to reduce depression, improve heart health, boost immunity, and increase emotional resilience, especially in older adults, and it doesn't need to look the way it did when you were 30. It needs to feel honest, safe, real. Emotional truth. Your body may have changed, but your need for closeness has not, and neither has your worthiness to receive it. You are still lovable, still desirable, still needed, not just as a provider or protector, but as a man with a heart and a soul and a need to be held. So let go of the shame. Let go of the silence. Reach for her hand or his. Speak your desire with softness and honesty, and if there's no one in your life right now, open yourself to the possibility. It's not over. It never was. If you've ever felt that longing for connection again, type "still human" in the comments, because you are. You always were. Final reflection. And close. Let's take this moment together, man to man. Aging doesn't mean fading. It means clarity. It means refinement. It means letting go of what no longer serves you so you can finally live. So stop silencing your voice. Stop isolating your heart. Stop neglecting your body. Stop living only in memories. Stop sacrificing your joy. Stop ignoring the signals your soul is sending you. And stop pretending love and intimacy are behind you. They are not. This is not the end. This is the beginning of the life you were always meant to live. One of freedom, of truth, of wholeness. You've given enough. Now, it's time to receive. If this video moved you, please share it. Someone else out there, maybe someone you love, needs these words too. And if you haven't already, subscribe to The Beauty of Wise Years. This is a community where men grow together, heal together, and age with clarity and courage. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for walking this journey with me. I'm Dr. Thomas Reeve, and I'll see you in the next video.